Yep.
And
There's a lot here, so we're going to start.
and peanut butter. Who's that?
Guys, thanks again for your patience. Appreciate it. We've got Team Billie Jean King, most of them. Martina will hopefully join us in a couple of minutes. We lost John in the hall. There's John. Where's John? There we go.
Hi, everybody.
And we'll go
Thanks for being
ahead.
here tonight. We appreciate it.
Go ahead and open it up for questions and get straight to it. So first question, please. Back over in the corner.
Yeah, Tom Kachowski, Healthy Referral Newspaper. Can you, first of all, congratulations on your amazing tennis vision. And what would be your vision for the next 50 years for tennis?
Who are you talking to? Which one?
Well, just the panel or yourself, Ms. King?
It'll never be the way I want, so I'm not even going to talk about it.
Okay.
I'd have a team season and individual season. Why? I mean, it's not going to happen.
You don't have enough time.
Okay.
We got a match.
John and I could have a discussion for a long time and all of us up here. We were having discussions in the lounge on no end versus no end. And the men's double should be Mark Knowles. You could see him in a moment when he's with Elton's team. The guys should be playing 2 out of 3 sets and all that. No
Okay.
end.
I do have a follow-up question. What would your opinion be about more players emphasizing more of the social issues like Arthur Ashe used to do back in the day with apartheid? Do you think more players should be involved with voicing their opinions as they're more in the media?
Well, some players do. I mean, I think a lot of players do. It depends on the player. I mean, Arthur and I always spoke out. We were born the same year. About different issues, especially human rights and social justice. Some players have an interest in it and some don't. Some players just want to perform and they feel that's enough. I think it takes a certain kind of person that wants to put themselves on the line like that. But I think most of the people here speak their mind about whatever you want to talk about. At least that's what I heard in the lounge. And I think John McEnroe speaks his mind if you listen to him at all. When he announces or if he's got something that's that he cares about or is bothering him, he speaks up. And Coco, I've heard her speak up, and Jan-Michael, they were all speaking up in the lounge just before we got in here, so.
That's a hard thing to control, though.
Martina doesn't speak up, though.
Yeah, right.
You can't just say it should be that way and have the players be that way. I mean, you have to get to a certain level of maturity, I think, playing matches and being comfortable doing that before you can be there and talk about any issue, really. You know, when you first get in the tour, it's just about trying to win matches and do the best you can, and then that rest of that stuff comes afterwards. But it's nice when the ATP does work with us on those kinds of issues.
Yeah, I think the associations do try. I know the WTA does.
Yeah, the WTA is a great organization. I mean, we go and visit hospitals, we go and visit local schools and try and, bring ourselves out there into the community. And as a, young player on the tour, this year was my first full year on the tour, and being 19 years old to be a part of that is just kind of great. Hopefully I can continue to do that throughout my career.
Coco, this is our 19th Smash Hits. This is perfect. When you were born, we started this event for the Elton John AIDS Foundation. And of course, Martina is actually interviewing Elton right now for AARP, is the reason she's not here. I think she speaks her mind too, as John McEnroe was alluding to. So I think we do. Now, so you start to be around us, you'll see that we have been.
Question here on the second row, then we'll go to the front.
TV20, just wanted to know how are you guys feeling about our lovely city of Cleveland?
I just wish it weren't raining, but I love it. You can ask Elton. Elton, I think, played his first concert here in 1971. So you might want to, when he gets in here, you can give a bedtime about it.
Hello, I'm late.
There's Martina.
I was interviewing Elton actually for something else.
We
Very
told-
fine. So
I
much
told
easier
him.
to be here.
Isn't it? I told him you were interviewing for AARP. So,
I was, well, he knows around that end, but anyway.
Right here on the
So
front.
much nicer to be here. Please ask away. I don't have to think. I just respond.
I have a question for John. I'm CBS here. John, Serena Williams had a couple of very memorable outbursts this year. As an outburst aficionado, is she taking that to another level?
That's
I think she's still working.
That's the first time I've heard this today.
Hey, John.
First of all, so but Martina, how are you?
Excellent.
But I did think when Serena made her comments a couple years ago, did I ever say that? I have to admit, I thought that through, and I think she taught me on that one. Although this past year was paled in comparison. She acts a whole lot better actually overall than I did. So she doesn't want to be swept into the vacuum of my behavior. So.
I think it's out of proportion at the Open this year.
It's usually a gender thing, a gender thing. If
Yeah,
the women are like
women are
that,
not forgiven.
we're not forgiven, we're not forgotten. I'd like you to go and reflect a little, because everybody keeps bringing her up. She's had 2 outbursts in her whole career.
Right.
That is nothing compared to someone
I
else.
guarantee I'll have 2 outbursts tonight.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying what happens, we have found that I don't know why, it's just very pervasive, the gender thing.
It is funny because it's like people
Hey, it's
want more
come a long
personality.
way.
People want more personality in
Thank
tennis, then when it happens, they're like, oh, there's a person that we can't deal with it. That's crazy. I mean, I thought she didn't even use any curse words. It was fine. She was irritated. It was in the moment, maybe a little long in the tooth with it, but it's not a big deal.
You should go travel to the Cleveland Browns game. I don't know if they're playing at home Sunday, but you should try to stand in the middle of the field and see what they're saying to each other. As the play is about to begin. If you could get a mic onto the
Wouldn't that be
field.
great?
See,
On
they
the
have more power than tennis. They don't allow mics on the field, so we can't hear what they're saying. Or a baseball field, when you can see clearly that the managers in the dugout are saying words like obscenities. But everyone thinks that's great. But God forbid a tennis player say it.
And God forbid a woman says it.
And a woman's even worse. And if she's black, that's even worse. So you're like
it's-
totally,
Yeah.
totally overblown. And the truth is that
It's true.
it's been going on, but hopefully it is changing slowly but surely. That's the good.
No, but that's team sports, come on.
Center front row here.
Jeez,
Other questions?
The trash talk that goes on?
Martina,
Great.
you started your world tennis
World
career
tennis?
here. What do you remember about Cleveland and how has it changed to you?
I was here for 3 months. I remember it very well. The Cleveland Nets, Marty Reeson and Bob Gilton and Wendy Overton were my teammates, and I learned how to cook while I lived here. And yes,
Oh, that's a
Wendy
new
Overton
fact.
taught me how to make an omelet. And hers broken, mine didn't, so I was very proud. And so I played here for 3 months and I know the town pretty well. Well, I did then. It's changed quite a bit, but it's nice to be back to the beginnings because I've been playing world team tennis
20 seasons.
like over 20 seasons. So it's nice to be back where it all started for me. With
Yeah, Borg
Nets.
played here too.
yeah,
Right here in the front row.
Joe Zingali, the owner.
Hometown here in Cleveland. I saw the Philadelphia Freedom in the '70s. What's different this time around for in World Team Tennis?
We have fewer teams, we're smaller, we have our calendar is really tight. We don't have as many weeks as we like.
I mean, you see the difference obviously in the fan base. I mean,
Also, we don't have as many American players as we used to, the top players, which I think also makes it more difficult. Americans want to see Americans.
And again, along those lines, John, can somebody reach the status of these fine athletes here, coming from your background that you did when you were growing up today?
Well, I have a lot better chance than, I came from a reasonably good background. My father was a lawyer. We lived in Queens. We lived in a nice part of Queens, New York. It wasn't a bad part. So we would call us upper middle class or lower upper class.
And that's not an oxymoron.
I think it's right. But the point is, it's still a rich man's game. That's the problem. So this is something that we've been talking about. I mean, I know ever since I've been playing when I was 18, so it's been 30-something years already. And probably even before that. And that issue is still a major hurdle that we have to get over. But
Well, you've got your academy now, you're trying to help with that, right?
well, I'm trying to help with that. But in other countries, they afford more opportunities. The government may be more.
Yeah, the government really helps in other
And
countries.
so,
We're still free enterprise.
It's gotten better, but there hasn't been a great amount of change in that regard. The problem with tennis to me is that not enough things change. That's why Billie Jean, I admire what she tries to do, because it's like banging your head against a brick wall, dealing with the head of these federations and officials, the powers that be. They don't want to change anything. So this is part of why she gets squeezed, because
I get
God
crazy.
forbid one
They want to keep their
attorney-
job. They don't want to change it.
Right.
I still think, here's what I think. When a child signs up for tennis, he or she should be put on a team immediately. You put the kids in a circle and they name their team. So that starts the socialization process and they bond. And then anything you do, you get rid of the word lesson. You never hear that word again in our sport. And it's just like in soccer or football or basketball, which I grew up in first. A lot of us up here did. And the kids always do skill drills together, practice, go hit, or whatever, just like you talk in other sports, and that's it. So if you're giving a lesson, you're doing it in a team atmosphere, but you don't say that. You use different words, because semantics are very powerful. Kids do not like that word lesson. Here's the typical thing. A child plays soccer 2 to 3 times a week for 2 hours, and they'll say, and my child, or the child will say, and I take a tennis lesson for 1 hour on the weekend. Now, if you're playing one sport 6 hours and you're playing tennis 1 hour, which sport do you think you're going to be better in, number one, and which sport do you think you're going to like better? So I think unless it's a team, it doesn't absolutely have to be team tennis format, but everything should be team when they start. You want to play with your friends, just like in basketball, football, baseball. I mean, my younger brother was a Major League Baseball player. I lived it. And I got into tennis, and it was so obvious what our sport needed. When I got into the sport, I said everybody wears white shoes, white socks, white clothes, and every person's white skinned. Where's everybody else? I mean, I used to say that at 12 years old. So it is like, it drives me crazy. And John's correct, I'm crazy. Because I know if more kids are playing soccer than tennis, why aren't we using the sign them up and put them on a team? This is not rocket science. This is human. And the great thing about team tennis, it's co-ed, it's on a level playing field, and there's equal contribution for both genders.
Ilana, did you announce the match is starting at 8 now?
That's it. No, that's it.
Very quick, I promise, last question.
No, but you
here,
asked.
we got to do.
Does that make sense or not? That is so simple.
8 in the morning,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you,
Ilana,
sorry.
I
Really,
recommend
last-
8 p.m.
Last question right
That
here, the
wasn't that long,
second,
but
second
that's
round.
Sorry.
Thank you.
TV20. Are players chosen, or do they volunteer for these teams, or?
They are very kind of,
Nadal was on his way, and then they
We know
said, we want a real, guy that really can hit topspin. So they called me.
certain players we know are very good to us. We have a lot of team tennis players that play, like for instance, Coco and Jan-Michael are on the Boston Lobsters together. Martina played 20 seasons. John plays for the Sport Times in New York. These people have been great to us. We do ask them. Lauren Davis is local. It's just obvious things, but and then Elton gets to choose, and then I get whoever's left over. No, I'm kidding. We try to give Elton a chance to get to know the players.
Thank you guys very much. I'm going to remove.
Anyway, you get to see Elton.
And bring the
Give him a
next
bad
one.
time now. He's back since 71.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Thank you.
Circle of love.
Coco?